Shalom Israel. This is Priest and Officer Kayadwan from ISUPK, Jamaica. ISUPK started 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. ISUPK is run by Commanding General Yahana, one man with the rank and the authority to lead Israel at this time. I say Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai Barakatham to my brothers, Yahweh Shamar Ailathan Ba'asham Yahweh Shai to my sisters. All right, so we're going to talk about, the Minister of Culture, Olivia Grange, or Olivia Grange, basically cautioning people on the use of marijuana. You understand? Is, we don't call it no. She's a minister, so she is more educated than regular, people. Of course, politicians, they are not, the most morally sound people. You understand? And through the Ministry of Culture and Affairs, that is how they open up the door to, legalize marijuana, you understand, and so forth, or decriminalize it. And now they are promoting, the manufacturing of marijuana. You understand? But our people have a problem using marijuana in a negative way, in the form of smoking marijuana. Of course, marijuana is a drug or a herb like any other herb. See? And herbs are used for medicinal purposes. Even the medication that you take, when you go to the pharmacy, is made up of herbs. You understand? And other things that them put in it that might be destructive. See? Because the herbs have chemicals that can be, some chemicals that can be beneficial for human health. And human for human consumption, but it's not a healthy way to consume marijuana. You understand? We will jump into a tape where the minister basically urge people to be cautious. Then we have to read up on some things, pertaining to marijuana, showing you that there are effects, negative effects of our people abusing marijuana here in Jamaica. So remember to like this video, subscribe to ISUPK Jamaica, share upon all social media platforms. Yes, Dave, my boss.
And speaking of recognition, the culture minister questioned voices in her ministry, and those the minister represents have not been given a major role in building the sector.
My ministry is a focal point for Rasta. Cannabis has to be regulated.
Great. She cautioned against the product being used in a free-for-all way.
Like all medicines, from aspirin to Soracity, the usage of cannabis has to be regulated. We all have to recognize that.
And speaking of recognition.
All right, so she basically say, still like for the poor internet connection. See, but she basically say, like every other medicine, because many people see marijuana as a medicine, and indeed, every herb has some medicinal purposes. You understand? Of course, not all herbs are medicines, because you know that you wouldn't ingest poison ivy. Of course, poison ivy might have some medicinal purposes. You understand? But most herbs have medicinal purposes. Now, what the minister is saying is that, there must be caution, and the use of marijuana. Why is that? The minister is no fool. The minister knows that the smoking of marijuana, it causes mental, problems. You understand? However, being a politician, she will promote whatever, the people want so that them can, you understand, win an election or win the love of the people. So now they are trying to win the hearts and minds of the Rastafari community. So, of course, you know what I mean, nobody in Jamaica, you know what I mean, is against marijuana. So marijuana is a good ticket to sell, to win, you know what I mean, any election or to get the favor of the people. However, they know that marijuana smoking is why Jamaica have so much mental issues amongst them people. But of course, we know that politicians don't really care about us in that manner. They're not really business about that part there. You know what I mean? For the most part, you know what I mean? See? But they will sell you it. But at the same time, she knowing better is cautioning, you know what I mean, people in the use of marijuana. See? We in the ISUPK, we have to go straight and just tell you the plain facts. We have to just outright tell you the problem. Marijuana is not meant to be smoked. As a matter of fact, no herb is meant to be smoked. As a matter of fact, nothing is meant to be smoked. You understand? Nothing is meant to be smoked. Zin? I mean, Cersei, like what she said, is a medicine, right? Many people use Cersei to regulate them sugar levels and so forth. Some say it masks the sugar, so it's not really regulating it. But some people find uses for Cersei. Now, would you take up a Cersei bush, rub it up in your palm, dried, and roll it up in a Rizla and smoke it? You would not. You understand? Because everybody and their mother know say that is not the way how you use Cersei. You boil Cersei as a tea and you drink it. You understand? And that is good for you. See? And while drinking Cersei tea, the Cersei don't change your mental, you know what I mean, state as do marijuana. You understand? If you drink marijuana tea, if you even drink marijuana tea, you would feel as if, you know what I mean, it is changing your mental state. Even the tea. So even drinking the tea, you have to regulate how you do that. You understand? And that should not be done without, you know what I mean, you going to a physician, which is a doctor, and getting their opinion or prescription and how to drink that. Because even that clearly has some effect. Right? Now, if you would not smoke Cersei bush, which do not alter your mind, see, why would you smoke marijuana, which alters your mind? Even, all right, marijuana alters your mind, even if you are not ingesting it. Why don't? If you put a marijuana branch at the nose of a child, somebody who does not smoke, or anybody who don't smoke, if you put that marijuana bush at them nose and them take an inhale, they will not feel the same for probably a couple of days. So how do we reach the point that we smoke marijuana? Zin, it is nothing but the abuse or substance abuse, drug abuse. That's all it is. And what you need to know what a drug is just the chemical that comes out of any herb. It's just a chemical. So the marijuana, a lot of people like to say, well, marijuana is not a drug. Drugs are in it. The THC is a drug. All the chemicals that is inside of the marijuana are drugs. You understand? And these are the drugs that people extract from these herbs, whether marijuana, any other herb, to make either medication or things that they need to put in some, you know what I mean, other thing with them thing there, they manufacture. See, it comes from these plants. So the marijuana is a drug. And how do you process drug? It have to go through some pressure and heat. And you smoking, you lighting that marijuana on fire, is you processing it and extracting the drug out of it. It is drug abuse. You understand? We're going to jump to some article. Remember to like, remember to share on all social media platforms. This is ISUPK Jamaica under command in General Your Honor. So this says, Zin, this is a news medical life science.net website. You understand? This is a medical website, and it says drug abuse or substance abuse refer to the use of certain chemicals for the purpose of creating pleasurable effects on the brain, right? So the use of certain chemicals, Zin, for pleasure results. That is why people smoke marijuana, to get pleasure. You understand? For the most part. See, 90% of us here in Jamaica who have ever smoked marijuana did not smoke it because they had glaucoma. You understand? Or them have an eye problem. They smoke it because they want to feel the eye. See? That is drug abuse, because now you are using it outside of its, you know what I mean, outside of a medical purpose. You're using it for pleasure. You understand? And that is drug abuse. Yet alone, as I said, you are smoking it, which is you ingesting carbon monoxide. You understand? Let me continue reading this article. It says, there are over 190 million drug users around the world, and the problem has been increasing at alarming rates, especially among young adults, you know what I mean, under the age of 30. See? Cause of drug abuse, of drug use. Drugs of abuse are usually physioactive drugs that are used by people for various different reasons, which may include curiosity and peer pressure, especially among school children and young adults. You understand? And that is how many of us started to smoke weed in the past. Curiosity and peer pressure. You see a friend them do it, and you want to find out how it feels. Or you have a friend that, you know what I mean, pass your blunt or pass your spliff. See? And say, try it, man. And you probably reject it a couple of times because, you know what I mean, your parents know say you smoke weed, but eventually you give in. See? Peer pressure. See? The use of prescription drugs that are originally intended to target pain relief may have turned into recreational use and become addictive. You understand? And this is also similar to how people use marijuana. They claim it is for medical purposes. I mean, I don't think anybody here in Jamaica claim that it's for medical purposes. Nowadays, a man say him smoke because, you know what I mean, it relieves him stress. But stress don't go away after you don't smoke. I mean, your problem don't go away after you don't smoke. Your problem still there to deal with. You're just high, and you know what I mean? Now you're high under the weed and even more incapable of dealing with the stress or your problem because you're high. See? So you're basically defeating the purpose. You understand? Chemicals may be used as part of religious practices or rituals, and that is what you see in the Rastafari community. Them abuse the drugs because of, you know what I mean, the excuse of it being a religious sacrament. You understand? When the God of Israel, he never told us to use any drugs as a religious sacrament. You understand? Recreational purpose. That is you doing it because you just want to feel high. See? As a means of obtaining creative inspiration. And that is, all of these fall under the realm of marijuana. You understand? Zine? So here them list all what is a drug. So example of drug, alcohol. No, alcohol is a drug. Zine? But what is alcohol used for? Alcohol is used for recreational, meaning alcohol's sole purpose is for you to drink, you know what I mean, and feel, for lack of a better word, merry. See, that is the only, alcohol is not a medicine in a sense that it cure any disease. its only purpose is for you to drink and feel, you know what I mean, more merry than you probably felt before. No. If you over drink alcohol, if you are somebody that is always drinking, drunk and all them things, that is called drug abuse. You understand? That is drug abuse. But alcohol only purpose is to drink. I mean, you wouldn't put alcohol, all right, and I see people do this. Zin, them put weed in the chalice and put alcohol, rum in the belly of the chalice and puff the chalice. And that make them even more high than they would have normally do. That is drug abuse. That is abuse of alcohol. You understand? You drinking, you spending your entire day at a rum bar, see, is drug abuse. Because you are now become a drunkard, and the Bible said being a drunkard or abuser of anything is basically sin, but being a drunkard is sin. You understand? Another drug, tobacco is a drug. You understand? No, tobacco is a leaf from the tobacco plant, right? But how do people use tobacco? People use tobacco in a way where them use weed, them smoke it. That is drug abuse. Because no, as I said, no substance is made to be smoked, to light and fire and ingest the bad chemicals that comes out of burning these drugs. You understand? People put tobacco leaf in them weed too. We call it grabber here in Jamaica. You understand? And after a while, these same people have to be going to the hospital. You know what I mean? Because they have chest problem. That is drug abuse. See? Cocaine from cocoa. See? The cocaine, you know what I mean, is a plant, or the cocoa plant is a plant. But the cocaine, how people use it is process it and snort the cocaine. That is drug abuse. You understand? Opium, see, or the OPI. All right, and bear in mind, notice the opium, which I don't think Jamaicans are favorable of opium, nor cocaine, but notice all of them have come from a plant. See? But we know that these are drugs that will totally devastate people. And maybe if you ask somebody that takes cocaine, right? If the cocaine is bad for them, they will tell you no, because they see some benefit out of the drug abuse. But any common sense person will tell you that taking cocaine can never be good. You understand? And cocaine links to a lot of overdosing as well, and people die taking cocaine. See? And the poppy plant, it's like the opium or the opioids from the poppy plant. So the opioid comes from the poppy plant. You understand? And the cocaine comes from the cocoa plant. These are all herbs. But there are, you know what I mean, considered drugs. See? What's the next one? Hashish or marijuana from the cannabis plant. This is another drug. How do people abuse this drug? People abuse this drug by smoking it. You understand? The Rastafari community has spread the culture of smoking marijuana here in Jamaica. And smoking marijuana is pandemic or endemic here in Jamaica. You understand? And as a result, there's a lot of mental issues here in Jamaica that nobody wants to speak about, and nobody wants to say, well, it is as a result of us smoking marijuana. You understand? Smoking any drug is drug abuse. See? Synthetic drugs such as heroin, ecstasy, and LSD. You know, so you have ecstasy, which is, you know what I mean, Mali, which they will tell you that marijuana is a gateway drug to Mali and to other stronger drugs, to the cocaine and to the, you know what I mean, opioids and them things, then LSDs. You understand? Because after you smoke the marijuana now, you have the bravery now to try something stronger, because you remember the first time you're smoking marijuana. and you were so afraid the first time, and then you get used to it. You think that that will be the same way when you try stronger drugs. You know what I mean? Until you get hooked to those stronger drugs and you become totally destroyed as a person. You know what I mean? And these drug addiction is, you know what I mean, a demon. You understand? Drug addiction is a demon. So if you are addicted to marijuana, you have a demon. You understand? And that is just the fact of the matter. Because you are using a drug. See? Not in the way that it is intended to be used, for a purpose which it is not intended to be used. That is drug abuse. You understand? We'll jump to another article. See? And the smoke and the drinking of alcohol is not drug abuse. It's when you drink too much alcohol or you use alcohol, you know what I mean, in a way that it's not intended. Because alcohol is made to be drink. See? Alcohol is made to be, you know what I mean, something that you drink. But when you drink too much of it, that is drug abuse. You understand? All right. So this says, what are marijuana's long-term effects on the brain? It says, substantial evidence from animal research and growing number of studies in humans indicate that marijuana exposure during development can cause long-term or possibly permanent adverse changes in the brain. You understand? Rats. So now them do an experiment on rats, right? Because that is how the oppressor, you know what I mean, get to understand how different things affect, you know what I mean, living things. See? So them try it on rats. You understand? But the evidence is there with people in everyday life. But of course, you know, the oppressor, I'm going to use him science so that he can validate whatever I'm validate. You understand? And this experiment is done on rats. See? Rats exposed to THC before birth, soon after birth, or during adolescence show notable problems with specific learning and memory tasks later in life. And that is the condition with many of our people. See? With many of our people, memory problem because of the smoking of marijuana, which THC comes from marijuana. That is the drug that everybody loves in marijuana. It is the drug that make you feel that particular way, the THC. But it has long-term effects on learning and memory. See, let me continue reading. Cognitive impairment. Well, we'll find out what is cognitive impairment. You understand? Remember again, like, share upon our social media platform. Then, cognitive impairment. It says, cognitive impairment is when a person has trouble remembering, learning new things, concentrating, or making decisions that affect their everyday life. So marijuana, smoking, or the THCs, when done, when an experiment is done on rats, them see that these rats have cognitive impairments. They are unable to learn properly, unable to remember, unable to make proper decisions. You understand? That is the condition right now with our people, with majority of people here in Jamaica, because them smoke weed. The weed that you smoke is the reason why you make bad decisions. You understand? The weed that you smoke is the reason why you can't, even simple thing as us teaching you the Bible and letting you understand certain things. You are unable to grasp it because you're high on weed. You understand? Let me continue reading. It says, cognitive impairments in adult rats exposed to THC during adolescence are associated with structural and functional changes in the hippocampus, right? Studies in rats also show that adolescents' exposure to THC is associated with an altered reward system, increase the likelihood that an adult will self-administer other drugs, right? So it basically means that when them exposed to this type of drug, them want a higher kind of drug. See, them say example, heroin. When given an opportunity, see in marijuana gateway drugs. All right, so them will lead you to another page. So then basically I tell you, say, yo, look, not only does this cause you to not make proper decisions, it also leads you to other drugs because guess what going? You know what I mean? Eventually you're going to get tired of the marijuana. And for whatever reason you think, you know what I mean, you are smoking the marijuana for, it will be redundant. Like anything, if you take painkillers for certain pain, you understand? Eventually that same painkiller won't effectively deal with the pain as it used to. See, and many of the problems that you claim that you smoke for, that problem was created by you smoking marijuana because now you claim that you're depressed. See, of course, not far we grew up in the garrison. See, and it is traumatic to grow up in the garrison. You understand? It's traumatic as Israelites over here in captivity to live under systematic racism and all of them things there. See? So, yes, you could have started smoking weed because of that. But some of the time, it's the weed that cause you to become depressed. But you never know. You don't know that because you start smoking weed because of peer pressure. See? And then over time you start feel depressed. You're not even realize you're the weed cause you to be depressed. And now you smoke the weed to deal with your depression. And when the weed don't deal with that depression because it is the thing that is causing it and causing schizophrenic and bipolarism and all them things there, you move on to other drugs and you completely destroy yourself. Many people have mental problems because of weed abuse, because them smoke weed. You understand? I will jump to a scripture and show you what the Bible says. You understand? About the smoking of weed. See? In the meanwhile, remember to like this video, share on all social media platforms. This is ISUPK Jamaica under command in General Yana. And it says, Proverbs 16:27, an ungodly man diggeth up evil. You understand? A man that cultivates weed, which digging up evil means to cultivate this evil. You understand? To plow the soil. See? An ungodly man cultivate weed for the purpose of smoking. And I'm not saying that you can't use the weed, you know what I mean, and extract the oils out of the weed for some, you know what I mean, therapeutic purpose. I'm not saying you can't use the weed for, you know what I mean, create whatever would claim weed good for, which you find out is just excuse of enough of this that them claim that the weed can do, the weed can make clothes, the weed can make this, the weed can, so much other things can make clothes. All right, if you're so interested in making clothes, why you don't grow, you know what I mean? Why you don't raise sheep? Why you don't raise sheep and get the wool and make clothes? Why you don't raise silkworm and get the silk? Why you don't, you know what I mean? And you're own free because guess what? Once upon a time, the oppressor used to have us grow cotton. Why you don't grow the cotton for yourself now and create clothes? Zin, why is it that the marijuana has to be good for so many different things? By the same standard, you will find a million different purposes for any herb, but it's because of the love and the worship of the marijuana, because most people who advocate for marijuana, they are really drug addicts. So the scripture said, an ungodly man diggeth up evil. And we continue, and in his lips there is as a burning fire. So in him lips, right between him lips, you see, is that lit, blunt, or spliff. And the Bible describes that person as an ungodly man. You understand? See, remember to like the video. Share on all social media platforms. Understand? We have another scripture. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 17. See, and it says, then he said unto me, as thou seeing this, O son of man, this is the Most High telling Ezekiel what, you know what I mean, pointing Ezekiel to some evil that we were doing back when we were in our homeland. See, is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abomination which they commit here? Right, and the Most High consider this thing, this particular thing, an abomination. For they have filled the land with violence and have returned to provoke me to anger. And this thing causes violence, you know what I mean? Because guess what go on? Any weed smoker know that whenever you can't get a spliff, it's frustrating. You know what I mean? The weed also causes you to think, you know what I mean, irrationally, you know what I mean, blowing out of proportion, things that will, you know what I mean, is to find offense in things that is not offensive. Not to mention the bipolarism and the schizophreniaism that it causes, that will cause dispute between brothers who don't know that they are schizophrenic. This will cause violence between brothers. See? And have returned to provoke me to anger. And the Most High said, this provoke him to anger. Lo, Slakia, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. Right? So they are putting the weed branch to their nose. This is not new. You understand? When you go in at the town and you purchase that, you know what I mean? When you go through the market and you have the brothers, them will sell the marijuana. See? Them always have it on a branch. You know what I mean? And what them always do is gear and say, test the potency. And what you do, you put it on your nose. See? That is putting the branch to your nose. You understand? And this the Most I call an abomination. Because you're not putting that branch to your nose because, you know what I mean, you want it to heal your glaucoma. You're putting the branch to your nose so that it can have some mind-altering effect, or in Jamaica case, to test the grade of the weed so them can go home and smoke it. You understand? That the Most I call, you know what I mean, an abomination. Smoking weed is an abomination to the Most High. See? And that is why we implore you, stop smoking weed. Weed is a sin against the Most High. See? And the religions that tell you that it's okay to smoke weed, like Rastafariism and the conscious community. See? You need to leave out of those religions. You need to come to class, sit down in classes, learn the truth, learn the true culture as the holy people of the Most High, the children of Israel. You understand? You smoking weed don't make you holy or separate. The word holy means separate. You understand? You can't be a righteous man and smoke weed. You know, no matter what the Rastafari community claim. You understand? You can't be a righteous man and smoke weed. Because the scripture call you an ungodly man. Saying if you smoke weed. And with that, like this video, share on our social media platform. This is ISUPK Jamaica under Commanding General Your Honor. Shalom.